Here we are, it is June the 23rd, second day. We're at Bully Bay. We've had a bit of a rolly night, but it's been absolutely beautiful here. We did some fishing, caught some fish, spent a lovely night, and now we're going to head off out into the waters in between here and France. Have a look, see what's going on. Depends on the wind and the tide. Looks like we've got some wind, but it's going to be very hot later. And then maybe have a look at the anchorage on the way back. But we'll have to wait and see. So, we're going to get going in a minute. So, see you soon. Bye. Oi, ai, ai, a vida. Oh. Oh yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. that tonic, can't we?
We will.
Put lemon as well.
Mix the gin up in it. That's the best way to deal with that, I reckon. Completely flat, smooth, hardly any wind. Sails just about doing their thing. How fast are we going on the GPS now? 3.6?
3.7.
3.7 knots. Just literally ghosting along. Fishing rod over the side, just called a mackerel. Just towing the towing the feathers along behind. It's a tough life. Islands just visible.
Are they?
Yeah, Sark to the right, Herman Jethu in the middle, and then Guernsey completely hidden by the main sheet. And there's B-Gas again. B-Gas. Big house. Bless their hearts. If only they knew how funny we thought their name was. Just motoring our way along St One's Bay. Corbière off in the distance. We'll be along there in a couple of minutes. Wow, a couple of minutes. About half an hour, Corbière. Left turn, round the corner, along the coast, into Brellard's Bay for the night. Can't wait. So cheers. Passing Corbière. The lighthouse. Second World War German watchtower there on the right, hotel now. Really good. Didn't take long, about 45 minutes. Making 6.5 knots down here under motor. No wind to speak of. Seen a couple of dolphins, but a long way off. We're on the way. There's La Bray over there, our favourite cafe. One of our favourite swimming spots, lovely, really gorgeous. And along that way is Brellard's, first bay. And that's where we're heading for the night. Can't wait. Here we are. Brellard's, end of day 3 of our lockdown cruise. Just dropped the hook. The time is 5:10, nearly tea time. The bay's looking great, as ever. Wayne Bay. And then round into Brellard's. Looking good. Looking good. Gonna get the dinghy off the stern in a bit. Get her in the water. Pot her ashore, see if we can get an ice cream. Fantastic. Big girl.
our big stakes.
That's a small boat. But they're on. Happy days. Barbecue on a boat. Thank you, Don. It's raining. It's raining a lot. Look at that out there. This is what we do when it's raining.
And we eat biscuits.
And we eat biscuits. And we drink wine. This is what it looks like outside. Lightning, rain, rain and more rain. And I've got to go out here and turn the engine off, which is there. I wish I'd done this earlier, really. Never mind. Lightning. Running downwind, coming home.
Sail is more interesting than me.
Sorry?
Sail is more.
Yeah. Whoops, let's hold it that way around so you can actually see where I'm pointing. That's where we're going. Running under just the Genoa. Mandy doing a sterling job at the wheel. Under trying conditions. A different day to yesterday. Noirmont over there with the light looking back up the south coast. A boat out there on anchor. Chelsea out at all. Yacht in the far distance over there. And we've got a couple of miles left to run. Homeward bound.
No.
I bet that's perfect, that. I bet that's absolutely perfect. Well, it made me look good anyway.
Go on then.
So, here we are, back home, all done. Back on the mooring. There's a slight problem, which is that the boat stinks of squid. Really badly, because we had 3 packs of bait on board, and they've gone rotten in the fridge, and it really stinks in here. But that'll pass. We need to have a conversation. What happened at the anchorage, Mandy?
We nearly died.
We nearly died.
And it was dark and windy, and I only had on
A
blouse with no underwear, including no pants, when we had an emergency at sea, which has taught me a massive lesson.
About pants.
At least go to bed with your pants on.
Yeah, true. So we went to bed. We were on a very, very exposed anchorage at the anchorage. It was really dodgy, bad place to be. The anchor didn't set. We've got a really old-fashioned anchor. Didn't set. Wasn't very confident about the whole thing. So kind of hanging about. Couldn't sleep. Boat felt really awkward. The tide at the anchorage comes tearing through. It moves at such a rate. So kept hearing some funny noises. Boat felt different. So I got up, went to the boat, went up the stern, went outside, had a look, and the dinghy was tucked underneath the stern of the boat. At which point, who arrived?
I arrived because I was sleeping in the stern of the boat and the noise was horrendous, and I thought we were probably on the rocks. It was that bad.
It was
So
that bad.
I came out without putting my pants on and found Gordon on deck with a torch, surveying the damage.
What had happened was that we had drifted down onto a big mooring buoy and pickup buoy and all of the arrangement, and that had trapped the dinghy underneath the stern of the boat, right under the transom. So we had to go and get dressed and life jacketed, and it's now about 1 in the morning, blowing a hooligan, rough, current coming through at 3 or 4 knots, and we managed to get hold of the pickup buoy, get the line on board, and you cut it, didn't you?
Yeah, I crawled across the deck.
You did crawl across the deck.
And hung over the back
You
while
did hang
Gordon
over the back.
held the ropes out of the water and we cut ourselves free from this large arrangement of buoys that we'd become trapped on.
But it didn't really help.
No, it didn't.
Because, unfortunately, all the pickup buoy for the moorings had got trapped between the rudder and the hull, which was really serious because now we've got no steerage. So we're drifting, downwind, down tide.
Still got no pants on. No, I did have pants on by then.
So what we had to do was get ourselves sorted out. We had to get the anchor in and transfer ourselves onto the mooring buoy, which was quite a clumper. It was a big mooring buoy, so it's capable of taking the boat. That's what we did. So I had to go forward, anchor up, get everything sorted out. Anchor hadn't gripped at all. It just came in. It was just sliding across the bottom.
Now you've forgotten the bit.
What bit's that?
The bit where I had to go into the V-berth and take off a panel and use an oar to poke the chain that had managed to jam itself in the chain locker as you were trying to pull up the...
Couldn't get the anchor up, so we're now half stuck. Can't move because the anchor won't come up because inside the chain locker, as Mandy says, it formed a neat little pyramid and you couldn't get any more on top. So Mandy had to go forward with an oar, take the panel off and push the chain pile over so that I could carry on getting the anchor in. So which we did.
All the time in a raging tidal stream with the wind blowing and Gordon hanging on to the
onto the mooring buoy.
Onto the mooring buoy, yeah.
Then we managed to get a line aboard from the mooring buoy, make up a strop, make up a bridle that ran around the bows of our boat, hook onto that, and that brought us to a stop. And for the moment we were pretty secure, although we still had a mooring strop around the run. Then, okay, so now it's time to go to bed, time to get some sleep. So I just laid down on the seat.
Which I did.
Manny went completely asleep.
I went back to bed and
I stayed fully dressed.
Slept.
With a life jacket on.
Really well.
And a torch in my hand.
I didn't get dressed though. I did stay dressed. I didn't get undressed. I stayed dressed. So, just in case.
So I knew the tide was 340. That was low water. So about 3 o'clock, I went and had a look at the instruments and over the stern. A little bit dismayed to see that our depth registered 0. Apparently we had no water below us at all. So I had a look over the side and we were in about 5 feet of water and Rose draws 5 feet. So we were basically about to sit on the bottom and the boat, as the tide carried on going out, would have just sort of laid over on its side, hopefully gently. Surrounded by rocks and sandbanks and just awful place. So I decided to keep stum and just keep an eye on what was going on.
Let me have a lie in.
Let Mandy lay there until it was time to abandon ship. But in some way, however it worked, we didn't actually. Either we touched the bottom very gently and I didn't notice, or we didn't touch the bottom and we just sat, but there was nothing underneath us.
There had been a fisherman who had come past earlier on and had told us that actually we wouldn't touch the bottom there.
Didn't ask us how much water we drew.
And he was right, we didn't actually, we think, touch the bottom, but only by inches, but bless him, he was right.
He was right. So the tide came in, Mandy slept through, I started to breathe again, and in the morning we gathered everything together, got ourselves sorted out. The tide at the anchorage meant that we couldn't leave straight away. The plan was to leave at about 7:30, 7:45 in the morning. Mandy didn't get up, slept right through.
I was exhausted. I'd had an emergency at sea the night before.
So we missed the tide gate. The tide goes through at such a speed, it's ferocious. Whilst Mandy was still asleep, I was fiddling around at the back of the boat, spinning the rudder, and suddenly, out from under the boat, popped all of the assortment of floats and lines and pick-up buoys and God knows what else that had been trapped around the rudder. According to the speedo, we had about 1.7, 1.8 knots of tide running under the boat, and it had just washed it out. As I was spinning the wheel, out it popped. Rudder was free. Mandy got up, we had breakfast, talked about our options. And
very carefully fixed the all the mooring buoys and
yeah.
and fenders, of
we
which
cut
there were
apart.
many that
Yeah.
we had had to cut off. So we very carefully threaded them all back onto the mooring buoy, so that when the guy
owner.
comes back,
He's got a
who
mooring,
owns
right?
the mooring, he can actually moor his boat.
And then we prep ship, and at about half tide coming up, we were able to slip the mooring buoy and come out at full throttle. We were making 3 knots, so the current wasn't too bad. It runs through there sometimes 6-7 knots, so we timed it just right. And we popped out, ran over a reef, didn't we?
Yeah.
Missed it, but ran it over. And then we bore away and headed off out to Sark, and it was scorchingly hot, amazing day, making 8 or 9 knots through the water with the tide and the wind, and we had an absolutely superb run along the north coast of Jersey. And made our way round for our last stop. Did some fishing, yeah.
See some dolphins several times. We see the dolphins, not very close, but
over there,
a few metres away.
The real problem with that day, that was yesterday, was was it yesterday?
Yeah. No, day before.
Day before. The real problem with that day was stopping and just not keeping going. It was just one of those days where you could have kept going. You could have kept going for days and days. It was just beautiful. But we didn't. We turned around and we headed down the south coast. And we turned into Brellard's Bay, where we dropped the hook, and we spent an absolutely idyllic 2 days, day and a half, 2 days, at anchor. Ragingly hot, 32 degrees. Went ashore, had fish and chips, had ice cream.
Did, and we had a barbecue back on the boat.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Steak.
Which was gorgeous.
All in all.
Yeah.
So, from drama to relaxation.
And now we're back home, planning our next trip in a few days.
We're home and it stinks of squid.
Yeah, hopefully it won't stink of squid, because we would like to go out again in a couple of days.
And with that, it's time for us to say cheerio. Cheerio to our future selves again.
Bye.
See you.